Thank you, Provost Marlin. It is now my honor to introduce our 7th president, who is embarking on his 15th and final year at San Diego State. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you President Stephen L. Weber.
Thank you, Betsy. Good morning. As Betsy said, this is the last time that I will have the privilege of convening an academic year at San Diego State. I announced 3 years ago at a convocation like this one that this coming year would be my last one as your president. My formal retirement letter was sent to Chancellor Reed on Tuesday and will be effective next summer. So we've still got a lot of work to do between now and then. This will be only the 7th time in 114 years that San Diego State has changed presidents. That's a remarkable record. An average of over 16 years per president, far, far above the national average. I think there's a reason for that. San Diego State is a great place to be a university president. We are always pushing the envelope, and at the end of the day, my professional satisfaction, like your own, comes not from pushing paper, but from pushing limits. Of course, the truth is that I do not personally push many of those limits. I do, however, receive enormous satisfaction from watching you push San Diego State every day to newer and higher levels of achievement. Presidential transitions like the one San Diego State is about to experience are good and salutary events. Universities, like all organizations, can benefit from new leadership, new questions, and new challenges to the status quo. But most of all, the transition to a new presidency allows time to pause, to recognize our gains, and then to step out in pursuit of new challenges. To do that effectively, the first thing that needs to be done is to take stock of where we are and where we have been. And that's what I intend to do this morning. Let's start with some perspective. San Diego State has seen and made a lot of history in its time. Here are just a few of the thousands of events and people that have shaped our campus. There's not going to be a quiz. I don't expect that you read all of those things, but they all are going to be posted on the website, and you can look back at them and see there's a huge amount of great information about that history. During the past 113 years, the size of San Diego State's student body has dramatically grown. And with the increase in students have come new buildings and physical plant improvements. Of course, none of us have experienced the full sweep of SDSU's 113 years, but it is surprising how much we have experienced. Our longest-serving employee, Ann Nevitt, in library administration, has served for 45 years, or 40% of SDSU's life. Ann, would you please stand? Unlike Ann, the average staff employee at San Diego State serves just over 11 years, and faculty serve almost 12. I have had the pleasure of knowing San Diego State for 14 years, and that's only 12% of its history. I hope you will pardon me, though, if I focus on the portion of SDSU's history with which I am most familiar. We will each understandably have a different take on it. But when I look back over the past 14 years, there are some seminal events that have made all the difference. The first seminal event was shared vision. We had that campus-wide conversation shortly after I arrived. The process involved approximately 6,000 people on campus and off campus, 2 retreats, numerous focus groups, and working committees, all of which culminated in a shared vision for San Diego State. Not my vision, but your vision. You articulated 5 goals: enhance our commitment to academic excellence, nurture a learning-centered university, create a community proud of its diversity and committed to social justice, promote the growth and development and wise use of resources, create a genuinely global universities. Those goals set our course forward. This morning, I want to review with you the progress you have made in realizing your vision, starting with academic excellence. And here we come immediately to a second seminal decision. In 1997, after almost a year of campus-wide discussion and debate, our University Senate voted to manage enrollments with the use of selective admission criteria. At that time, we were over-enrolled. The lack of state support for those extra students was forcing us to thin the soup for all students and to inevitably compromise the quality of their academic experience. The Senate's decision, coupled with its wise guidelines for implementation, set us off on a new path that has led to increased applications, which led to an increase in the high school GPA of incoming freshmen, and stronger SATs, which led in turn to higher continuation rates and higher academic loads, which led to a nationally applauded increase in graduation rates. And I want you to note, that's not plus 28%, it's 28 percentage points. Huge increase, actually almost a 75% increase, but 28 percentage points. These are extraordinary gains in the preparation and success of our student body. But other initiatives were advancing academic excellence as well. Our honors program swelled. We invested in our infrastructure. For example, the number of smart classrooms increased by over 500%. Our IT capacity mushroomed. That is actually what it says, plus 68,000%. We couldn't get the slide to actually show that because the columns just can't be that disparate. Extraordinary investments in moving the life of the mind and supporting the life of the mind. Not surprisingly, better prepared students put increased demands on our library. Wonderfully, delightfully, these new students so valued our library that in 2002, they voted to tax themselves for enhanced services and extended library hours. Within academic excellence, I need to say a special word about the extraordinary progress you have made in research. Grant applications are up, as is the number of successful applications, as are the dollars awarded. In short, you have proven to federal agencies such as NIH and NSF that San Diego State is a good investment, and you have used that investment to seek real solutions to real problems. These additional monies that you have brought to San Diego State have made it possible for us to better equip our laboratories, provide funding for undergraduate and graduate students, attract new faculty, supplement the incomes of existing faculty, and your entrepreneurism has allowed us to increase the number of postdocs up to last year's 63 postdocs at San Diego State University. A combination of your indirect income and philanthropy made it possible for us to build the Bioscience Center, the first and only strictly research building in the California State University system. Most significantly, the number of doctoral programs increased, as did the number of doctoral degrees awarded. In fact, in the past 14 years, you have more than doubled the number of doctorates conferred in the prior history of San Diego State. SDSU serves as the host institution for C Superb, the California State University's statewide biotech program. You initiated a student research symposium in 2008 that attracted last year over 400 student presenters who were mentored by over 250 judges. You now rank in the top 150 colleges and universities in research and development expenditures, according to the latest data available from the National Science Foundation. All of which, together with the extraordinary efforts of faculty and staff, led academic analytics to declare San Diego State the #1 small research university in the country, now for 4 years in a row. Your second goal was nurturing a learning-centered university. And here, too, you have made extraordinary progress, although it is less easily measured. To get students off to a strong start, you put a renewed emphasis on new student orientation. And you added a new student convocation, because data clearly demonstrate that residential students have superior and more successful learning experiences. You added 1,400 new beds in our residence halls and encouraged more of our students to reside in living, learning communities. You introduced alcohol-free Aztec nights during the first 5 weeks of the fall semester and reduced the number of alcohol or drug-related medical transports by 57%, and by 50% over the course of the school year. Your Aztec Nights was cited as a successful example of alcohol and other drug abuse and violence prevention by the U.S. Department of Education. You developed Bounce Back, a nationally copied program to reduce attrition among students on academic probation. In all of this, you were aided and advised by the Aztec Parents Association, whose membership increased dramatically. Meanwhile, your Office of Financial Aid and Scholarship supported students with increased financial aid. In 2002, students voted to tax themselves for improved access to health, dental, and vision services. Student health services logged more than 50,000 office visits in 2009 for medical and health promotional services. Your disability services and career services have successfully assisted disabled students to prepare for and obtain careers through our Workability For program. For the past 2 years, you have had the most successful employment outcomes among the 10 four-year Workability For campuses in California, and you have accomplished this at a cost per placement that is 30% less than the statewide average. Perhaps the most remarkable transformation has been with regard to your goal of diversity and social justice, starting with the composition of our tenure track faculty. And I would remind you, you make these choices, not me. One of your biggest success stories is the growth and excellence of EOP, the Educational Opportunity Program at San Diego State. These highly diverse low-income students are graduating at a much higher rate now than they did 5 years ago. You'll be particularly proud to know that according to our Office of Career Planning and Placement, San Diego State's EOP graduates are attending graduate school at a higher rate than the rest of our student body. These low-income students that came into San Diego State are now, going out at a higher rate. These impressive gains are true not only for low-income students, but for San Diego State students of color in general. You fielded a host of new programs and activities to foster diversity, including the Guardian Scholars Program, which provides comprehensive services and scholarships to former foster care youth, veteran support programming that last year supported over 940 veterans, 157 active duty military, and 139 dependents. The SDSU San Diego Padres Dominican Republic initiative to provide educational opportunity in the Dominican and to allow our students to gain firsthand knowledge of socioeconomic factors that influence world economies. Your nationally recognized Compact for Success with the Sweetwater Union High School District. Our City Heights Collaborative serving 3 urban schools, enrolling over 5,000 students speaking more than 30 different languages. Oh, thank you. safe zones to ensure a campus atmosphere that is supportive, informative, and welcoming to all LGBTQ students, faculty, staff, and their allies. And you were the first university in California to offer a certificate in cultural competence. All of these activities are reflected in national rankings. And just take a moment to look at some of these. Is it just me, or is that not moving? There we go. Good. Your fourth goal was the wise use of resources. How prescient of you. Perhaps you anticipated that last year we would experience the largest reduction in state funding San Diego State has ever experienced, both in terms of absolute dollars and as a percentage. To put things into perspective, while San Diego State's budget grew, our dependence on California declined. Which brings me to a third seminal factor, the wise advice of your University Senate in general and of the President's Budget Advisory Committee in particular. Because the Senate has been so thoughtful and constructive, I have been able to accept over 97% of its recommendations. Because PBAC is so careful with our resources, I've been able to accept 99.99% in total dollar value of its recommended budgets. Dealing with a precipitous withdrawal of state support reflects not only the good advice of your Senate and PBAC, but also extraordinary discipline on all our parts, as well as increased financial commitment by our students and a general spirit of entrepreneurism. Aztec Shops is an example of that entrepreneurial spirit. Their successful innovation has enabled them to provide jobs for over 18,000 students and generate over $30 million in support for campus programs and projects over the past 14 years. You might have heard that they are a national leader, the national leader, in selling digital textbooks. They are about to become the national leader among universities in renting books as well. Which brings me to a fourth seminal transition. As Grant pointed out, our students have become good and proactive partners. Not only have they increased their support through higher tuition and fees, they have also built a health center, built an aquaplex, approved a new student union on which construction will begin in June of 2011, and increased their fees, voluntarily increased their fees to support the library, health services, study abroad, and athletics. In short, you have proven to our students that we are a good investment, and they in turn have made that investment. During the past 14 years, San Diego State has been ground zero for a lot of new construction and major renovation projects. Projects have ranged from classroom buildings to laboratories to residence halls to parking garages, a daycare center, a trolley station, athletic facilities, and a health center. Most impressively, only 23% of those construction and renovation dollars came from the state of California. Only 23%. Because we were able to find other ways to get the job done, we have actually increased the total square feet of our buildings, increased the approximate footprint of our campus by over 28 acres, added a 200-acre Brawley campus site to our Imperial Valley campus, and acquired an additional 290 acres in 4 field stations. And just this spring, you opened a new downtown art gallery. The Storm Nassater project will be a complete renovation of a 1957 classroom and is scheduled to begin construction this academic year. You often tell me how proud you are of the beauty of our campus. You are not alone in that assessment. San Diego State is a winner of the Professional Grounds Management Award for colleges and universities. Through the work of your Senate Sustainability Committee, as well as Associated Students' Green Love Committee and many other groups on campus, you have become a leader in energy efficiency. Not just talking the talk, but walking the walk with, for example, the construction of a 15-megawatt cogeneration facility, the installation of over 500,000 kilowatts of photovoltaic panels, a sustainable aquaplex and Mission Bay Aquatic Center. You've been recognized as a 4-time winner of the City of San Diego's Recycler of the Year Award. And you are about to open a pilot bike and skateboard lane along Campanile Drive concurrent with the first day of classes. Speaking of the wise use of resources, you have been particularly successful with regard to philanthropy, which brings me to my 5th seminal point, SDSU's philanthropic achievements. The last 3 years have been the best fundraising years in San Diego State's history, despite the downturn in our economy. One way to put this in context is to realize that in the last 14 years, you have raised $684 million, over 300% more than was raised in the prior 99 years of San Diego State's existence. You have doubled our endowment in spite of declining markets, which has made it possible for us to fund more student scholarships. Life memberships in your Alumni Association are up 235%. Since 1996, athletics has raised over $67 million to support its programs and student activities. Thanks to your good efforts, last year, San Diego State ranked number 9 among all universities, public and private, in the state of California for fundraising, behind Stanford and USC, but ahead of 4 UCs and all the other CSUs. We are increasingly successful in fundraising because you have proven to the community that we are a good investment, proven to our alumni that we are a good investment, and proven to the parents of our students that we are a good investment. Now we are in the quiet phase of our first ever comprehensive campaign. You have raised $200 million thus far. It is my expectation that you will have surpassed the $250 million mark by the time the next president has the privilege of publicly announcing the campaign a year from now. Your 5th charge was to create a genuinely global university. In 1998, there were only 167 San Diego State students studying abroad. Now there are 1,624, almost a 900% increase. Nearly 12,000 San Diego State students have studied abroad in the past 12 years. Thanks to your good work and the financial support of associated students, San Diego State now ranks 2nd among doctoral universities nationwide in sending undergraduate students to study abroad. You now offer 335 international education programs in 52 countries. In 1998, one major required study abroad as part of its graduation requirements. Now 25 do. I don't set those requirements. You set those requirements. When you began urging students to study abroad, there was a concern among some that students of color would not participate. I am pleased to report that Hispanic students are more likely to study abroad than the general student population. Once again, so much for stereotypes. To the best of our knowledge, before 1996, San Diego State had only 1 student Fulbright recipient. Since then, we have had 33. This year, we have 10. The number of international students studying at San Diego State continues to enrich our campus for our students, for faculty and staff alike. Your international business MSBA program ranks 20th in the nation, and your undergraduate international business program ranks 11th. It is one of the largest in the country. SDSU's Language Acquisition Resource Center is one of 9 sites selected by the U.S. Department of Education to serve as a National Language Resource Center. Your American Language Institute is one of the largest university-based English as a second language programs in the United States. And your Center for International Business and Education Research is one of only 28 federally funded centers in the United States. Of course, many other things have been going on at San Diego State beyond the goals that you set forth in shared vision. KPBS has emerged as the premier source of news and information in San Diego. You have developed one of the nation's best ROTC programs with over 400 participants. You have responded to the express needs of our community and region with programs such as hospitality and tourism, construction engineering and management, international security and conflict resolution, and a master's in regulatory affairs for the biotech industry. Athletics has increased its national standing in the Directors' Cup from 127th to 65th. Your work generates an annual economic impact to the state of California of $6.5 billion, sustaining more than 11,400 jobs statewide, while generating nearly $87 million in tax revenue to the state of California. For each of the too few dollars that California invests in you, it receives a return of $5.43. Most importantly, thousands of you have worked hard, often with insufficient support, to extend the frontiers of knowledge, to facilitate human growth and development, and to enhance the society of which we are a critical part. Because of your hard work, the reputation of and the respect for San Diego State has grown. To conclude, I know that some of you are concerned about the upcoming presidential transition. You should not be. You will perhaps note that I have described 113 years of excellence at San Diego State without ever mentioning a president. You are the ones who have climbed higher. You are the ones who have taught our students, produced our research, maintained our buildings, answered the phones, and served our society. It is not without reason that I describe myself as an institutional hood ornament. I have not taught our students or authored a single grant. You do the good and important work of San Diego State, and it is my privilege to tell your story. As you welcome a new president, one of the best and most constructive things you can do is to know San Diego State's story and to communicate it to your next president. Help him or her understand the special quality of excellence, of climbing higher, that is built into the DNA of San Diego State. Offer suggestions and advice and criticism when appropriate to her or him, as you have done for me. Use your deans, vice presidents, and provosts. They have served you and hence San Diego State well and faithfully. As I said at the outset, presidential transitions are important moments, not because of individuals, but because they offer a moment of reflection, a chance to look back, as we have just done, to understand what you have accomplished, to secure it as a new floor from which San Diego State's continuing adventure will advance still farther. I finished my graduate work in 1969. I know it's hard for some of you to imagine 1969. Susan and I headed off to begin our professional lives at the University of Maine as an assistant professor of philosophy and an English teacher. Since then, I've worked for 5 universities in 4 systems and also served as a system officer. It is not the life that Susan and I had imagined, but it has been an immensely satisfying and rewarding one. A large part of that satisfaction comes from having had the opportunity to be associated with San Diego State and the remarkable excellence of this great university. I've remarked many times that the word excellence comes from the Latin word excellere, meaning to climb higher. When I look back on the climb, when I look back on the climb you have made during the past 14 years, I am hard-pressed to imagine greater excellence, higher climbing in any university in our country. You have done remarkably well. You will do still better in years ahead. pleases me that we have shared this part of San Diego State's history together. It will always be a high point of my life and career, but I have absolutely no doubt that despite California's deep dysfunction, SDSU's best days still lie ahead. Have a rewarding and a productive year. I hope it will also be a reflective one. This university has always benefited from your collective wisdom and guidance. It will need to do so again in the coming years.